Oh, it already went to the second panel. Okay, cool. Sweet. Hello. Yes, the name of the talk has already been introduced. I'm Amy. I do a lot of stuff at Ninjakiwi. I've done art direction, concept art, 2D and 3D, and currently I'm a UI and UX designer and artist. I have 10 plus years, because you stop counting after that, experience in games, and I joined the BCS project about 6 months in, I think, and at the time I had not done UI or UX before, but I just kind of had an obsession with it. So the game I will be talking about is Bloons Card Storm. It's a kind of complicated card game. Well, it's not that complicated. Well, our UI helps it be really easy. But yeah, you have balloons, you have monkeys, and you have heroes who all do different things on the board. You fight against your opponent. The game, the number 20-month production I think is right, but I didn't fully check. And it had a launch date. Okay, thank you. Launch date in October 2024. We launched on Steam and iOS and Android all at once. Since then, we've updated it 5 times. We now have over 200 cards. We have 8 heroes. They all have 3 abilities each. We have 6 game modes, and we have 8 arenas. And we've done numerous quality of life and balancing updates. I'm going to be talking about kind of like some of the stuff I got from the production side of the project, some like really good takeaways that I want to take into future projects. Seeing the Bloons IP in a higher fidelity art style was something somewhat new for our studio, because we'd been living with the BTD6 art style for quite some time, and that game's older now. So yeah, we've designed a kind of new version of the monkeys here. We got to really expand the IP for the Bloons world, which is something we've always wanted to do, but you know, you have to find a place where that's appropriate. And we developed some new collaboration practices, which we do on every project, because we just iterate on how we do things, how we build features together. It expanded my skill set a lot, because I went from practically zero UI to the UI person on the project and doing UX as well. And yeah, there was just lots of opportunity to learn and iterate on this project. It was just because it was quite ambitious, basically, and then that drives innovation, I guess. The pillars that kind of guided what I've been doing on this project are kind of, they line up with, these are pillars that I think everyone was influenced by in the project, but these were like quite in my mind. So keeping the Bloonsy feel is something important for any of our Bloons IP games, and that influences not just my work, but the designer's work, and maybe the programmers, maybe they make Bloonsy code. That'd be funny. And the second thing is having a mechanically unique CCG was something we were aiming for this project, and that's no easy feat. Like, people don't just design new card games that often, and that really influenced my UI and UX role, because I did UI and UX on this project, but also in the past I've done art direction and concept art, so I was also art directing and concepting a lot for this project. And the pillar for that one was attracting players with standout visuals for a card game, because you might have seen that card games, usually they stay as cards, and we decided to make our cards turn into 3D monkeys. The talk structure is, I'm breaking it into the kind of production phase and some of the sort of challenges we face at each of those phases, my goals within that production phase, and then the processes and takeaways and examples that happen during that part of the process that I'll share with you. So, pre-production. This is nice art done by my husband. I like him. yes, you wanted me to show them. What we're working with, or what I'm working with at pre-production, is I came into a very strong prototype about 6 months in. The game struck me as very mechanically unique, and there was a lot on the screen. And there was no in-game art, but there was preliminary concepting in all areas. And I was compelled to get involved in the UI UX for some reason. I follow my whim, and my wonderful bosses let me. So my goals are make the game easy to understand and play, and find an art style that stays true to our IP, but better with a small team. So the prototyping, something that I really liked when I came onto this project was the design prototype and the art prototyping were kept separate. And maybe that seems like a no-brainer, but we kind of actually committed to that. We weren't going to be like, okay, our prototype is going to just become our real game. It was, we're making a design prototype so we can really work out what our game's going to be, and we'll work out our art in a different project for a while because it doesn't need to go in. But also the game had remarkably good feedback already, which so there is a place for making sure the right feedback information is in the design prototype. Otherwise, nobody knows what they're doing, even the devs. So one of the great other things was that everyone on the team, not just the designers and the coders, were still having a weekly play testing of that design prototype. So that kind of kept all the sinew together, because disciplines can definitely silo. I've experienced in other places. So I was like, wow, that's really good. I'm happy with doing that, and we continue doing that. So, and so this is the kind of art side of the pre-production we're doing, which is, is your first concepts and things. So I drew and modeled most of this. There's a couple of things on there I didn't. So I'd actually designed the monkey for BTD6, the game that this game is based off, and I was kind of done with that design, and I'm like, okay, we need to take it to the next level. We need we're allowed to have more than 300 megabytes go into the game now, when it's downloading. So so I designed this new monkey who I really like. He got longer legs because we have a camera angle that suited longer legs, whereas the previous game they basically don't need legs because you can't even see them. I rigged him so he could have more animations and stuff like that. Also revitalized the heroes. The heroes are those ones in the grayscale. So those are already existing from BTD6. I didn't design all of the originals for that, but I designed more characterizing here. And then I also I tried to push our texturing style, our texturing techniques, just to kind of keep it cleaner so it wasn't too destructive for. It was basically just so everyone in our team makes stuff slightly different ways, uses slightly different programs. So I wanted the UVs to be laid out in a way that you could kind of understand what you were looking at. And I think that really benefited the team. I think we made some really nice textures and models. So, woo, it worked. Yes. Parallel iteration is more like what was happening between the design and the art teams. So while the design team was iterating and while the art teams were iterating, we were kind of bringing those insights back to each other and building from there, because we had to explore new screen layouts, from horizontal to vertical layouts and diagonal and that. So we kind of just gave those to each other and updated our own prototypes accordingly. UI and UX visualizing is me. I felt like we had to put a lot of things on the screen, like 10 balloons, 5 monkeys, and 1 hero for one side, and then the same for the other side. So I just had to do like a comprehensive, these are all the options I can think of. There's 3 more pages than what I've got up there, all exploring, okay, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, and then finally we settled on a sort of a diagonal, horizontal format for the game. And at the same time, we continue to do proofs of concepts for the environments as well. We actually had some significant iterations on the style in that time because, we're just looking for the direction. And because our prototypes were separate, we had the room to explore. Nobody was held back by, coders could code, designers could design, and artists could art. But then we all, we do have to bring it together later, which is maybe where it changes. Once we were happy with the core loop of the game, and the visual unknowns had been explored, like the major ones, we prepared to build the real project. So we combined it all into a new Unity project and put all our art and everything together, and kind of made our plan, our launch plan, and started on production. It feels like this. Yes, so what we're working with here is I'm just going to say what the art team structure was. We did have coders and designers and QA and community management and everything. So me and another artist, we co-led the art team because I liked concepting and art direction, but wasn't so good at implementation and team management, and then they were good at all that stuff, and that really helped make us so neither of us were particularly overloaded, and we could both be best at what we do. So yeah, together we did art direction, concepts, team management, Unity setup, shaders and lighting. We had 3D artists and a contract illustrator, and sometimes a second contract, not at that point, and a UI and art director / team management support. Those are our every people, Phil and Kai. You guys know them. So my goals for this stage of production was building out the deck building and playing experience. So we hadn't really built those things out in our pre-production phase. This was you make your core loop and then you build the rest of the game, I guess, as well as finishing it, and defining the look and feel, and concept things that fit in with the IP. So at this stage I was still doing concepting and art direction, but I was also really getting into the nuts and bolts of UI and UX. So this was how I felt was the best way to collaborate on designing the UI and UX, features, designing the flow of the game. Everyone does it differently, but for me, I really liked Miro, so I just concepted everything in Miro, basically. So I could concept the flow, I could do as many iterations as I wanted, and I found what was really good, it was a great tool for communication to people who weren't artists. So code could look at it and kind of semi-understand what I was going for, and design could look at it and give different suggestions and things, and I could just put sticky notes on it and then update it. And it really, I just think that it worked really well. And the only next step maybe would be that one day I actually learned Figma, and that would be but right now Miro's really useful as a blueprint for implementation. And it was a great way for me to practice getting better at UI, because I was at zero. I did not know what looked good. We also used it for documentation, and I would dare say it's some of the most relevant documentation I've ever experienced in any studio. I think people actually look at it, and we update it, and we update it frequently, and it's because it's easy to update. It's easy to make sure the right settings are always updated, and it's a great way to onboard people, which is what we have to do with all our projects, because we start with a small core team and then bring it out a little bit. Button. Building the look and feel. So at this point, I didn't quite know how to dress the game, but we did have this idea. We came up with the title Bloons Card Storm after much deliberation, because we were all kind of searching for what this game was that differentiated itself from just being a Bloons game. And yeah, the storm is also a mechanic in the game, which we utilize to kind of change up the board state. And so I just went, okay, straight into that. I'm like, storm, okay. I went storm and purple, and I just really ran with purple, maybe too much purple. Yeah, and so I just kind of, I'm saying it's a simple motif because that was like literally I just had the word, a mysterious storm has come across the land is like all I was thinking, and then I drew from that. So yeah, but then the cards themselves, because our game is a card game still, that had a kind of different sort of, basically we realized this was a fantastic opportunity to do narrative and expand the lore for our game in a way we always wanted to, because for some reason our company's just really into monkeys, like, so yeah, so we got to explore like the environments and the tones of the monkeys and things, and like I like with the audience that we have, they seem to respond quite well to that, and also the design can bounce off the art and the art can bounce off the design. So, and yeah, I think it was just better than if we made more descriptive, prescriptive, whatever's like just kind of, you know, just showing you the card does this. Having a little story in it is quite fun. So for the character design, we were working with an existing game, BTD6. So lots of the cards had already existed in a different game, and we just needed to revitalize them for this project. So we kind of just, you know, we took Super Fan Club, Monkey, and Triple Dart, and just made them cooler, gave them different haircuts and stuff. And then we had some characters who, like the Bloontonian Miner and the Priestess, had never existed before, but we had relevant lore we could base them off, existing heroes from different games as well, like that miner hero is from Battles too, not from BTD6, so grab from there. And then occasionally we just had entirely new stuff, unless the Monkey Investigator already existed. I don't think it did, but anyway, that was someone's brainchild. Possibly Lucille's, yeah. I don't want to give credit to the wrong person, sorry. Yeah, and we designed some buildings, which was reminiscent of, what's the game? Monkey City, yes. I liked Monkey City. Yeah, I just forgot the name. Okay, yeah, so reminiscent of that stuff. This is really like the first, well, we designed new balloons for every game, but like we really needed a lot of new balloons, and the balloons need to be purposely amorphous, they need to be mysterious, so we had to kind of like rule out certain things on like what they could be. They weren't really supposed to have like faces, they're not supposed to be too humanized, and they're kind of scary. But then they're also quite cute because they're circles. So we defined the balloon canon a lot more, and I think that can influence our other projects again. So on BTD6, they're designing more balloons now as well. I don't know if Kel looks at my stuff, but maybe. Yeah. So yeah, and so across these images, this is kind of like the several iterations we did on designs until we sort of found our range that felt suitable for this project. So lots of material changes and symbols and just little simple pieces. Yeah. So, yep, from production to live. So this was a slide that didn't have the right writing in it, so I just need to check. Yes, okay. So we took a few extra months to get our core features ready, and we launched on both mobile and PC. Well, this is where the real fun starts, the scary part. So what we're working with, we did one update in 2024, pretty much just immediately got onto that. Ninjakiwi is quite used to doing updates. We've been doing them for 5 years on BTD6. So we added a ranked mode, we added a hero, we added 18 more cards, so that I guess doubled the amount of game modes. And I think we actually added Amelia's adventure as well. Yeah, in the first update, yeah. So we also added another special mode that had different mechanics. Oh, sorry. And then over the rest of the year of 2025, we've done 2 major updates and 3 minor updates. We'll be working on the last minor update. That's added another 120 cards, 5 more heroes, 1 to 2 game modes and 1 to 2 adventures. Those were the kind of goals for the year, so because we're not finished yet. And more arenas and updates to existing game modes, and we added some cosmetics. And that's when I started just fully moving into UI and UX. I was really, really happy in that place. I like drawing. I can draw on my own time. I like designing now. So my goals at this point was make lots of content that people want and improve the user experience and get players to stay. So at this point we were getting like analytics on like the reception of the game and stuff. But before I talk about that, I'll talk about like this was our plan like before we got any analytics. It's like have a update strategy. Well, what are we gonna build for the rest of the year? So our team focused on a variety of game modes so that we could kind of see what people liked. We focused on meta changing card mechanics. So because that's pretty normal for card games, is like throw in a new meta every now and again so people can get excited about new cards and play new styles of game. That's also once again useful to know what people like. And we continued building out heroes. Heroes are like our set piece for each update, and we made sure they had very different play styles that really encourage people to play different, play as many different heroes as possible. In terms of like what I did at this stage was I just helped build out the screens for these game modes, and I oversaw the art for the cards, and those portraits there. This is the looking at the data and feedback. I was quite interested in looking at this stuff. I'd been like a co-founder at another studio before where I'd seen kind of some of that stuff, or not a co-founder, but like a core first person in the studio. And so I was kind of like, what do people really think? And I wasn't too disillusioned by getting feedback like that. I somewhat know the human condition, so, people. So community feedback based on experience. So there was like some stuff where we kind of thought we would go one way, and then the community was like, no, we really want it this other way. But it's kind of funny because what we were offering them was technically better than what they wanted. That's in reference to card packs. But they just wanted to open pretty card packs, so we did it and they like it. And we also use data to assess the drop-off points, which drove a lot of my UI and UX. Like, okay, we got to change this. We got to make it so they want to click the button and go to the next screen. And I was really just wanted to add a lot of quality of life improvements because I had never done the UI before, and so I'd gone from 0 to 1 year of doing it, and I was like, I need to fix some of these screens, you've got to let me fix them, which, you have to walk away from your perfectionist tendencies, but this was great opportunity for me to keep learning just by challenging myself. I'm going to make this better, and I will face the consequences of that. And we also use data to work out what people wanted in new content. So like that guy, that red guy, they liked him. 2:48, okay, cool. Wow, how much time do I have left? Like, plenty. Okay, that's the talk, really. So this is a synopsis of everything I've kind of roughly talked about. Things I'd do again for future projects. So keep the separate prototypes for quick iteration. Keep testing the design prototype to keep all our team in sync. I think that's something we do pretty well at the studio in general, so let's not just stop doing it for no reason. UI and UX visualizing at the prototype stage, so all that stuff I did where I really just needed to comprehensively work out where everything was going to be on the screen. You could do that in Engine, but also if you can just do it faster in a Photoshop file, why not? I think it did help, just somebody just grunt going through that. Yeah, spending time on art proof of concepts. That's something we have done before on other projects, but it continues to be, it's the stage where we can really actually decide how much we want to like grow as artists as well. Because once you're in production, you're in it. Like, so that's the part where you're like, okay, do I just want to make this really hard for myself? Yeah. So things I do again, using Miro, I will continue to use that. Great fast iteration, great blueprint for iteration between implementation between different disciplines, and effective documentation, and a simple motif to base the look and feel around. That's for art direction. I'd partly continue doing that because that's suitable to our studio. Our games, we're small teams, we can't have huge cutscenes and stuff, but you can get like double the benefit out of your mechanics and stuff if you can kind of just layer a sort of narrative on top of them, and layer a nice, like a cohesive look and feel. So that's what I do. Implying narrative through game art. So that's kind of like quite particular to this project, but I can see how we could just still get it in our other games. I would be keen to work out how I do that with a completely new IP, like, I don't know, because I had a lot to work off for this game. Yeah, focus on variety and update content. That seemed like a good idea. That seems like we do updates, we should find out what the community likes. And I personally still like to look at the data and listen to the feedback, and because it helps me design what parts of the user experience to improve, and helps me know what people like aesthetically, because sometimes my stuff can get a bit cute and it needs to not be too cute. And I have written don't look too much, because eventually you will be like sucked into the tar. So yeah, and then talk to your colleagues and like, and they'll put you back in check. So and I just wanted to say there was so much more I would have loved to talk about with this talk. This is just like a small fraction of what I was doing on this, but like I was overall just really impressed by like what our whole team was doing. So I probably should have done a 50-minute talk so I could have talked about that. Yeah, feel free to take a screenshot of that, and thanks. My social media is completely disconnected from my job, so just type my name and then Ninjakiwi, and then you'll find me. Yeah, cool. We do have time for questions, I think. Yeah. Okay.